Well, it is officially springtime and the perfect time to get your garden ready for a vibrant and thriving season. Let's share then some essential tips on preparing your garden for spring, from composting and fertilizing to pruning, seed sowing and planting. Well, to speak more on this, let's welcome horticulturalist Cherise Viljoen. Cherise, a very good afternoon to you. Well, it is that time, perfect time that is for gardening. So for those who want to spruce up their gardens, where does one start this month? I mean, what are the top favorite plants and flowers to go to?
Well, that is a tough question for a horticulturist. I think that for now, vegetables, definitely vegetables and herbs, start feeding ourselves from our gardens. Those would be my top plants. And then anything with a pretty flower. Now that the cold snap that we've all been in has lifted, we can start putting plants in as they can really make use of the warmth in the soil to grow, to perform for us. So some vegetables, herbs, and pretty flowers. That's definitely my go-to at the moment. And the next thing I do is, the first thing I do as soon as the weather warms up is I go to my compost bin or my compost heap. I hope everybody is taking their kitchen scraps and making a small compost pile or burying them straight in the ground or doing whatever they can to not put their waste into our dustbins and into our landfills, but to put their organic waste back into their gardens. Even if you only have a pot or some indoor plants, you can still make a little bit of compost. And I go and I turn the compost and really get it activated and going in the heat, you know, a little bit of water, or in the case of Cape Town, less water. Yeah. Less water.
But I'm going to ask you, Cherise, to slow down a bit, because some of us don't have the green fingers necessarily. So when you talk about just composting, where does one begin? And how do you then make sure and you prepare then, you know, for your garden using compost?
Sure. So compost is really, for me, any green material, not necessarily something sharp. If it's acidic for us.
Oh no. All right, we'll see if we can try and get Cherise back, because many of us would really, you know, do good by taking some of those tips. Of course. Cherise, are you still there? I believe you're still there. Maybe can you start from the top, just responding to that answer around composting?
Sure. So I was saying any kitchen scraps, not meat, and not anything very acidic. It's a vegan affair, so no meat or proteins, but anything vegetable that you offcuts or your leftovers, you can start by putting that in a pot or a bag or a heap or a pile in the garden and let it finish decomposing. And once it's gone back to its natural state, that decomposed organic material is really beautiful to use to feed your plants and to plant vegetables in. So we don't throw anything away as gardeners. We put it all back in the garden.
Now, we started talking a little bit about, you know, growing vegetables. Many people are now opting to eat healthier, more organic, and grow their own vegetables. I mean, what's best to look at this time around? Where do they start if you wanted to plant a little garden for yourself?
So the best things to use are parsley. It's dark green and it's a herb, but it's really good in all sorts of foods, very easy to grow. Carrots and radishes, root veg like that, very easy to grow. Really, they're not fussy about soil or water. They're not difficult at all. And then leafy veg like marrow, spinach, even a little bit of lettuce can be very easy to grow. And they're more complicated things. You can grow butternuts and pumpkins, but you need more skill sometimes. You could grow green peppers quite easily, even eggplants or brinjals. So you can decide what level you're at, but definitely start with a green leafy veg. It's very good for us to eat those kinds of things with our meals fresh as possible.
For those that have, you know, animals that roam around their gardens, what are just some of the tips they can look out for, you know, to prevent, of course, and to, in fact, manage their gardens that way?
I tend to make wire cages.
Yeah.
I have not so much a large animal like a cow, goat, sheep, but I do have cats that like to go in my veggie boxes and So I just find anything I can. I make pyramids of twigs to protect my plants. I find old bits of wire. I've even used a bucket that I've cut the top out of and put that over while they were young. In fact, I wish I could walk to the front of my garden and show you how it's wild with its protection. And my best thing is to use acacia thorns. And I put those thorn branches all across my veg. The veg will go through, but the animals leave it alone.
Cherise, let's leave it there for now. Thank you so much for those tips. Cherise Viljoen is a horticulturalist. Of course, it is that time of the year where lots of people want to spruce up their gardens.